Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Tiny Brains podcast. I'm Kevin Joyce, CEO at Tiny Brains, and with me is Peter Graham, the Brigadier of Brains. Say hello, Peter.
Hello all.
So if you're new to the channel, what we do here in this weekly podcast is we look at the biggest stories in XR from the previous week. And the previous week this week was a pretty big week. We had CES in Las Vegas. Now, this is a show that both Pete and myself have attended many times, and it's always great to see new tech on display, a lot of which is often relevant to VR, maybe not now, but in years to come. However, this year, there was lots of relevant tech for VR as it stands. And the first, we're going to jump straight into a brand new headset from Sony.
Exactly. There were a few big announcements, and Sony's was one of the biggest for XR. They revealed a prototype headset called the XYN.
Now, I've not heard anyone say this name out loud, but in my head, I have named it for them, and it's called the Sin.
Well, you're very brave. I was not going to try and name it, so I'll go
It
with
is
that.
Sin.
That's an interesting take on it. Certainly, that's all the information you're pretty much going to get out of it because Sony haven't released many details. Have been people demoing it because it has been available on the show floor to demo, but there aren't a lot of specifications at the moment. Now, last year at the previous CES, Sony had showcased another headset which some believed was, a predecessor to this one. We're not 100% sure that is actually the case, but what this is a brand new headset that's being designed specifically for creators. This is not going to be a consumer headset. This is purely designed for the sort of business cohort. There are a few details that have come to light. It has 4K resolution. It has a flip-up design that you've seen in previous headsets like the Lynx. And it's also running a Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 processor. So there are a few little details that we know about.
Now, I fully expect this device to be, as you said, it's for business use cases. It is an enterprise device, and there are a lot of these headsets around at the moment. This is becoming quite a crowded market. Obviously, HTC with the Vive brand have invested a lot in this market. We have Pimax are doing a lot of things with enterprise, and you mentioned Lynx as well, and the other one, which name I can't remember right now. I'm sure you'll remind me.
You got Vara as well.
That's the one. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Great minds and all that. Yeah, this marketplace is getting a little crowded, but from what I can tell, all of these that we have mentioned, although we don't know the SIN just yet, but I expect they are all Steam VR compatible. They are all headsets that can be interchangeable. Your corporation could use Pimax, and your clients could use the Sin or Vario or whatever you choose, and it'll all be interoperable. So it's going to be a case of pick which one works best for you.
Pretty much when it eventually arrives, because we've got no price for it and we've got no launch date. But yeah, hopefully it will arrive as well. Hopefully this isn't just one of those CES prototypes that appears and then disappears as quickly.
I could hazard a guess at the price, but I'll save that for the future. I've guessed too many Sony things correctly
Yeah,
lately.
you hold on to that thought for a later show.
So, but moving on, we do have some consumer VR news coming out the show as well, which is in the form of cloud gaming. Now, I expressed on social media that cloud gaming is rapidly growing in terms of its capabilities. It is we have obviously Xbox Game Pass. It took a bit of a hit after the whole Activision Blizzard buyout deal and whatever else. They lowered the capabilities of it quite obviously in order to assure that it wasn't as good as everyone expected. But it's slowly coming back, and it has become a reliable way to play specific types of games. Nvidia's GeForce Now is arguably leading the pack and has been for some time, and now is coming to VR.
It is coming to VR, yes. Nvidia announced during the event that their cloud solution is coming to Apple Vision Pro, Quest 3 and Quest 3S, and Pico headsets as well. So that means that well, let's specify these are PC games that are going to be playable. These are not going to be VR games. They did not specify anywhere that these are going to be VR games, much like the sort of the Xbox cloud solution that you can get. So these are going to be PC games, but that's still good news.
It's going to be big screen gaming inside your
Yes,
heads.
it's going to
That's
be
the idea. It's going to be your living room TV is going to be replaced by a big screen in VR, which honestly I've used it a few times, but I have a really nice big TV in my living room, and yeah, but a lot of people don't. So
But with GeForce Now, you get all the Nvidia, tech support. So you get ray tracing. You're going to get the DLSS, add the extra S there,
two S's.
support as well. Yeah, and access to. I think it's over 2,000 games that are available through well, it's free and there are subscription models. So it depends on sort of, what you want to pay for. But there's quite a lot of games available.
I made a comment on social media recently about On Live. Do you remember that, Peter?
On Live, that rings a bell.
It launched in 2011, I want to say, as a guess. And it was a small puck that plugged into your TV and was essentially the same service. And you could buy your games through it, and they cost the same as they would on an Xbox or whatever else. And at the time, it was quite progressive. It did do the job that it was promising to do. I played the original Space Marine on it at one point.
No?
Um, but it did not get the support from the consumer end. It got support from the industry, but not from the consumer end, and ended up with their patents being bought by Sony and merged with Gaikai, and that's where PlayStation Now came from. There you go, a bit of gaming trivia for you. Moving on away from gaming, we have Lenovo doing stuff at CES as well.
And this is also, well, I'd say slightly consumer focused because Lenovo have announced their Legion Glasses 2, which are AR glasses. And as we have spoken about many times over the last few podcasts, we're expecting big things from AR this year, and this is another step in that direction. So the Legion Glasses 2 are well, they connect to smartphones or compatible devices like the Legion Go, and it's coming out in February for $400. So that's a nice little bit of information from CES that there's something's new coming out straight away, really, rather than just being a prototype.
Yeah, I mean, Lenovo are one of those hardware manufacturers. They've always set in the mid tier in my mind. They have decent hardware, but it's never pushing the boundaries, right? But these glasses do seem to be they seem to deliver on their promise. Um, yeah, I can see nothing but good things for AR this year.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They're going up against people like Xreal, which are one of the big champions of AR on this space. So hats off to them. I hope they do quite well.
Yeah, I wish them the best. But now we have some sad news. Hardware bonanza this week until this one.
Yes. Well, this was a bit of news that we'd heard about a few months ago, around about September time, but now it is official. Quest Pro has been discontinued. Meta's first mixed reality headset, which launched, what, 3 years ago now?
I was thinking four,
Was
but
it four
could be
years
wrong.
ago? Launched for $1,500, and then less than a year later, was dramatically cut by $500. So for the last few years, you've been able to buy it for $1,000, but it still never sold that well. And was never really promoted because it was always more of a business style headset more than a consumer headset, and was never properly promoted by Meta after the pricing calamity. And now, yeah, it's just been discontinued. So bye bye.
Yeah, the writing was on the wall for MetaQuest Pro for a long time. In fact, I am surprised it lasted this long. I would suggest that the discontinued is purely because they've now sold through enough in their warehouse. I don't think it's been being manufactured for quite some
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah, no,
Um, so pour one out for your MetaQuest Pros in light of your MetaQuest 3. Was there really any reason to have it still around anyway? But yeah, thank you. Fond farewell, MetaQuest.
that's it. Say hello to Quest 3.
So we're going to wrap up with some gaming news, as we always do on this podcast, and we are going to talk about Boneworks. Now, was a PC VR game that really pushed the envelope when it came out in terms of physics. It was a game that really, moved forward what interactivity in VR meant at the time of its launch. But it did take some power to run it. It was PC VR and PC VR through and through, but it's not anymore.
No, Stress Level Zero have announced this month that Boneworks is officially coming to Meta Quest 3 at some point this year. It's part of their a flurry of different projects that they've got going. They have announced a new next-gen game as well, but as part of that, they confirmed that Boneworks will finally drop its PC VR exclusivity and come to standalone headsets, which is
So does this mean that the Quest 3 is comparable to PC's hardware from, what was it, 3-4 years ago when this game launched?
this.
Or does it mean a Stress Level Zero have been super good with their optimization?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Yes, this is a 2019 game after all, so we're now talking five years ago. So
2019, we're talking 6 years ago.
6 years ago. So yes, could that be the case? Well, we'll have to wait and see. They did release Bone Lab in 2022, which was the sequel to Boneworks, and that did come out for Quest. But Boneworks is a slightly different beast. I think it's Bone Lab was a cut back version, wasn't it? Essentially,
Yeah, Boneworks is still the one that is considered the top tier from this. Bone Lab was nice, but Boneworks is the one that is still considered, this is a pioneering VR experience. So yeah, Stress Level Zero, get on it. We're looking forward to playing this on Quest 3 later this year at some point.
Fun times.
So that's all we've got this week. Thank you everybody for watching. As always, if you'd like to discuss any of these stories or have your stories from XR discussed on this podcast, please reach out to us at any of the many channels you can talk to us. I still don't know if you put them in the description below or not, Pete. I don't know. But we'll put my Twitter in today, just for the hell of it. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter/X in the link below. And yeah, we'll see you all next week.